And just like that, it is Friday, which means it's nearly the weekend. Yay! No difference for me. Weekends, rest of the week, feels exactly. Oh man, it feels exactly the same, except I'm not doing funerals. Anywho, Friday means showbiz. But before it means showbiz, I just got to say one thing. I didn't think I could get any more angry than I am at this bunch of clowns who are selling us down the river, right? Yesterday, when I read that Sadiq Khan, the worst mayor in living memory for this once wonderful city, which I've born and bred and live in, London, UK, is going to be made a Sir. Jesus Christ. Unbelievable. Speaking of unbelievable, you know him. You love him. You wish you could see what I can see in my little digital waiting. It's fantastic. Showbiz behind the scenes. You know him. You love him. He is the king of first nights. He is the prince of press nights. He is the count. I'm not going there. Ladies and gentlemen, Jonathan Baz.
Russ,
Yes.
good day to you.
Good day to you. Yes, that's a very excited dog. We don't know why.
And I can only assume the dog can smell what I've been up to this morning, because
dog. Maybe I think the dog's angry at you just for turning up. Or the dog's a critic, or the dog's a theatre critic. We don't know.
Well,
Could be
quite. The backdrop is slightly different because on this occasion I'm not coming to you live from new broadcasting Baz house.
Broadcasting Baz.
But in fact,
Baz
this
house.
show is coming. Well, I'm coming live from Baz Towers, where this morning the Oompa Loompas have been hard at work baking the first of the season's mince pies.
Let me see them. Let me see. Push it back. Oh, yeah. Now we need to see the topping. We need to see the top.
Yep.
Oh, yeah. No. Wrong way.
There we go.
Oh, yes.
Well, now I'll go. Listen, in the interests of broadcasting, I will now take a bite.
Okay. It's a very attractive sight, by the way. That's gorgeous. Oh, look at that.
Filling,
pull it back a fraction so it can focus. Look at that. It's packed.
It's a spectacular filling.
Wowzer, ballad and cowser. What a fabulous thing. Right.
Now,
you have a very special guest, so I'm going to shut the hell up and you're going to do the introductions. I'm a huge fan, by the way. God knows how many times I have seen your guest on stage and gone, shit, that is great. Because I can't act and I certainly can't sing.
It is indeed a very, very great pleasure and honor.
It is. Let's not overcook the eggs. You know, it's pleasure.
The fabulous Janie D.
With us no sooner said than done. There she is.
Hello, good morning, gentlemen.
Good gentlemen.
Yep, it's just good afternoon.
Never met us, Janie. Gentlemen, that's very sweet of you.
It's a delight to have you on the show, Janie.
It is.
Even though the screen is now filled with Russ.
No. Here we go. There we go. That's what I wanted to do.
Hi, Jonathan. Oh, hi.
No, I think
that's
what
I wanted.
That's the picture that you're looking for.
That's with it. Yes.
Janie center screen.
Yes.
Okay.
And Janie is, of course, one of our more gifted musical theatre performers. 2 Oliviers, is it to your credit, Janie?
Yes.
Yes.
Amongst other things.
You say
let's hear the other things. Don't be shy. Come on,
in all
you're
modesty.
Janie D, for God's sake.
And the reason Janie is joining us this morning is she is one of our country's more accomplished Sondheim performers, amongst many other strings to her musical theatre bow. Yep. And next week, over the course of next weekend, at a small theatre in West London, the Playground Theatre, Janie is putting together, see what I did there, Janie is putting together a review of Sondheim songs called Putting It Together. First played in the West End some years back, I can't recall how many, and in which Janie played in that original cast of putting it together.
Jonathan, sorry to interrupt you, but it's actually never played in the West End.
Excuse me.
It's never gone to the West End yet. It's only ever gone to, let's say, off West End.
Understood. Thank you for the
Yeah.
correction.
It's all right.
It played in London, though?
No. Oh, well, yes, in London at the other palace when we did it.
Fantastic. That's good enough for me.
Yeah.
And thank you for the correction. And of course, next week at the Playground Theatre, it will again be in London, albeit not on the West End. But Janie, please tell us all about your putting it together.
Well, I was asked to direct it, which was a new departure for me at this Celebrate Voice Festival at Salisbury. And I jumped at the opportunity because I really know this piece. And when I first saw it in New York with Julie Andrews playing the part I'm going to play, I was so moved by the whole narrative of it, which was both about relationships, marriage versus before marriage, older versus younger, wisdom versus naivety, and the journey that the people at the party go through, which is hilarious at times, but also ends up going a bit deeper than I had expected when I first saw it, which is always a joy, isn't it, when you're touched by something. So I jumped at the opportunity to direct it, and they had asked me to be in it as well. So I thought, well, I'll try. I don't know if that's possible, but I hear that Kenneth Branagh does it all the time. So why not have a go? So I did it. And then loads of people said, you should take it to London, which is all fine and well if somebody's producing. But nobody was producing. But then the Playground Theatre, which I'd performed my Beautiful World Cabaret at, invited us to go there. We've actually sold out both shows already for the 14th and the 15th. And we're just now discussing whether we can squeeze in one more show because there's a waiting list. So it's very exciting to be already full.
Fantastic. I mean, one of the aims and objectives of your being here this morning is to publicise the show, and good Lord, it's already publicised itself, and that's just terrific. I mean,
well, as I said to them, sorry to interrupt. When people say sold out, quite often we, the performers here, it's sold out, and you go out and you can see 2 seats empty or something like that. So what I've said to them is keep a longer waiting list, because if it does build to say 50, 60 people or something, we'll probably put in another show. If it builds to just 4 or 5, then we'll see. But we can probably squeeze everybody in. I think that always happens, that you can squeeze people in.
Cheesy question: what are your favourite songs that are going to be appearing that'll be part of the lineup of the evening?
Oh, right. I love all of them. I like simply every single song that's in this musical. Can you hear me? Can you hear me, Jonathan?
Yes.
Oh, you can hear me.
I can hear you. Yes.
Sorry.
Yes.
Yes, I think Being Alive makes its appearance, and that was in Old Friends. So a couple of songs that were in Old Friends are in this as well. But things like let's think, The Road You Didn't Take, which I haven't heard since I did Follies. It's so lovely to hear it in slightly different context in this piece. As I say, there is a narrative despite the fact it's a review. I love Marry Me a Little. Oh my God, the way Tom Babbage sings it is, I've never heard it sung better. It's just, he transports us to somewhere else. And it's very exciting. He was in the motive and the cue with me and didn't sing a note. And then I thought, God, when I was casting it, I wonder if Tom can sing, because he's just the right person. Everything about him is right for this young man. And I said, do you sing, Tom? And he sent me himself singing Gethsemane. Oh my God, what a voice. So I was very lucky there, because I knew he was the right person, but could he actually nail it with the voice? And he's totally doing that. And when he sings I Am Unworthy of Your Love with Miriana Pavia, who I had seen at Arts Ed a few years back being absolutely stunning. And then when we did Old Friends, I saw her as an usherette, and we were chatting and stuff. And you know, she hasn't done enough, and it's just ridiculous. She's such an amazing talent. So I'm very thrilled to have her as the young woman in this. And then Edward Baker-Duley, who sings everything brilliantly, but I particularly love it when he sings We Had a Good Thing Going. It's just so gorgeous. And he has this wonderful, deep, warm resonance in his voice. It's just gorgeous. There's so many things. Back in Business, which is the hardest song I've ever had to learn.
Could I
It's
Leave
great.
You is part of the show's lineup, isn't it?
It is. It is. And
I,
I forgot when I said I would do that, but I'm revisiting that for the umpteenth time. It's one of the reasons I was offered Follies, was because I'd sung Could I Leave You in putting it together, and I knew it backwards. And when I had to meet Dominic Cook for it, he said, could you sing Could I Leave You? And I said, yeah, no problem, because I knew it so well already.
it really, I
So
mean,
having sung it for
really,
one.
when it comes to bittersweet comedy, that song
Yeah.
is unsurpassed. It's brilliant, and you
Mm,
deliver it
yeah.
superbly. It's
Thank
there's
you.
not much to laugh
Well,
at in Follies, but
mm,
good Lord, that's a brilliant moment. Um,
oh, thank you.
and
I love the journey of it. It's got so much detail. It's
yes,
brilliant.
yes. Um,
Mm,
Janie, I'm delighted that the show is sold out next weekend. I'm looking forward to catching it on the Sunday afternoon performance. Looking forward very much.
yeah.
Um, I really want to thank you immensely for taking a few minutes out of your busy schedule to
Thank
join
you.
us this morning,
Mm,
and break a leg with it. And
thank you,
I'm
darling.
looking forward to seeing
We'll
it.
see you on Saturday. Is that right? You're
No, I
coming on
think I'm there on the
Saturday.
Sunday. And for anyone who wants to
Sunday.
put their
Okay.
name in onto the waiting list, it is at the Playground Theatre on the 14th and
Yeah.
the 15th of December. Janie, thank you so
Yes.
very much.
Thank you very much. We might be squeezing in another show in the afternoon of Saturday. So that's the time to ask about, I think.
Fantastic. Now, hopefully,
Thanks so much.
Russ is
Jane,
there.
I am here. I am.
Yes.
Of course I'm here.
Um.
I was here
So
all the time.
good. Now, so that's next week. But what have I been doing this week? Well,
I don't
well,
know,
aside
Jonathan. I
aside
don't
from
follow
having
you
dinner,
around.
aside from having a delightful dinner with you and
Yeah,
some
thank you.
others on
So
Wednesday
anyway,
night.
moving on. Down
Yes,
to theatre.
yes. So, two shows to talk about, both of which, in my opinion, were outstanding.
Okay.
Interestingly, the first one, I, together with my colleague from the Evening Standard, whose name I can't quite recall, wasn't Nick Curtis, we loved it. This morning, as the reviews are published,
Donald Zek.
this morning, as the reviews are published of The Devil Wears Prada,
Oh, God,
many
no,
of my
thank you.
colleagues appear to be sucking hard on lemons.
Right.
I have to tell you that The Devil Wears Prada just now opened at the Dominion Theatre with music by Elton John, and lyrics by a couple of Americans who are unlikely to have heard of. As I say, just opened, running till October, and it is a cracking night
Is
of
it?
new musical theatre writing, produced, directed, and choreographed by Jerry Mitchell, who knows his way around a big show and the visuals that go with a big show. The Dominion is a massive stage,
It's
as you
a
probably
barn. It's a
it really
horrible
is.
barn of a place.
It
Awful.
and with
3,000
a
seats.
correct. It's huge,
Yeah, it's
and it
crazy.
takes something big to fill it. And I have to say, The Devil Wears Prada does that spectacularly. The space is used well. The band are gorgeous. The choreography I found to be very imaginative. I came to the story as a newbie. I'd not seen the movie.
Oh,
Heard a lot
the
about
film's pretty good, but you couldn't drag me to see the show. I'm zero interest in seeing
Russ. That's absolutely fine. And I have to say, if I
it.
looked at the makeup in terms, and I'll try not to do any Greg Wallaceisms here, as I look at the makeup of the audience last night, I would say it was predominantly female. And that's it for the Wallaceisms of this conversation. Not exclusively, but predominantly. And I know who I'll be recommending it to. But
Yeah.
as far as it being a quality night of new musical theatre, Elton John has written a slew of terrific new songs. There's a lot of rock and pop. There's a little bit of blues, a little bit of soul, some great
Mm-hmm.
balladry popping up as well.
Mm-hmm.
And the show, cast-wise, is led by Vanessa Williams, who's making a return to the London stage. She plays Miranda, this ghastly editor-in-chief of Runway
Yeah.
magazine,
Right, yeah,
loosely
yeah.
based on Anna Wintour of Vogue.
Yeah. So
Um,
loosely. Does she wear dark glasses?
oh
I'm another
yes,
bob.
oh yes,
Yeah.
and Louboutin heels that would spike you from a mile away.
Oh yeah.
She is outstanding. She really, really fills the role. And then as the debutante, the novice journalist writer who's trying to make her way in this ghastly world of fashion and publishing is a young actress, Georgie Buckland, who plays Andrea. And this is her West End debut, and she is outstanding. She's given the responsibilities of closing both acts of the show with largely solo numbers. She's brilliant.
It's a heavy thing. Who was it in the film? Anne Hathaway, wasn't
Hathaway,
it? In the
Anne
movie?
Hathaway.
Yeah.
Yep. The other two big roles in the show are played by Matt Henry as Nigel, sort of the key creative assistant in Runway magazine, and Miranda's original long-serving assistant Emily, who's played wonderfully by Amy Di Bartolomeo. I hope I pronounced her name correctly.
That was brave.
All of the leads and indeed the ensemble and the company are fantastic. It really was a beautiful night of entertainment. The
That's
scenery
good.
and the design and the costumes as you'd expect for a show that's all about fashion. The costumes are great fun. Some terrific outfits. And really, just to say, it is a great. Don't believe what you read in the press. Go and
Well,
see it. If
anybody believes what they read in the press is
quite.
mad. So the
Um,
big question with this, Jonathan, and it's
mhm.
a serious question. You and I both know that the illusion is, oh, London, excuse me, London will go to the theatre, hooray, hooray. It's got nothing to do with London at all. It only has to do with coach parties. You know that, I know that. Every producer in the world knows that if you can't bus the coach parties in for a night in London and they go back to the suburbs, then you've got a flop on your hands. I think from what you've said, looking at its demographic, that is a really good coach party. And by the way, I'm not being rude. Please don't think I'm being insulting. That's how theatre thrives. If you don't have the coach parties coming
Yep.
in, that show will close. That's how it works.
I think you're right.
And people
I
never
think
talk
it will.
about that. People are very snobby about it, but they're paying their money. The hell with it. Hell with it. So,
There's a lot of
yeah.
glamour. The music's gorgeous, and I
Mm,
think it will. I think it will appeal to,
yeah, I think
as you
so.
say. Yep.
Yeah, I think so. Why not? Good.
Uh,
Anything which entertains. There's so much snobbery surrounds theatre.
yep.
We can talk about it another time when you've got some time, because I know you've got other stuff to talk about. But anything that entertains, great. In a horrible, grim, disgusting world, which gets worse on a daily basis, where we are being trolled on a daily basis and just ridiculed more and more.
Yep.
To have just a few hours of lovely, light-hearted entertainment, great. I'm all for it. All
Absolutely.
for it.
And another evening of lovely, light-hearted entertainment of a higher standard, where the devil wears Prada, albeit it's an oldish story,
Mm.
but the musical theatre was brand new writing. There is the classic production, or the classic show of My Fair Lady,
Here
which
we go.
opened recently in Leicester. I missed press night. I was out of the country. I was lucky enough to scoot up the railway lines this week, catch it a few nights into its run. Nikolai Foster, who's the artistic director of Leicester's Curve Theatre, and really most of what he touches up there turns to gold, has directed a beautiful interpretation. For me, probably the best My Fair Lady I've seen in Britain. It's the best My Fair Lady I've ever seen, and I haven't seen
Good
countless
God!
productions of
Wow.
it.
Did you? All right. So let's put it into context. Did you see the Jonathan Pryce when he was Professor Higgins?
Yes, with
Martin McCutcheon
Martine McCutcheon. Yes,
when she
better.
turned up.
Yes.
Better than that.
Yeah,
Wow.
I would say yes,
Wow.
because interestingly, this show is free of star casting.
Well, you got
Now,
Steve first. He's my star.
I'm not saying that there's anything wrong in, heavens, Vanessa Williams headlining in The Devil Wears Prada, terrific. But the lead roles in My Fair Lady are Molly Lynch plays Eliza Doolittle, and David Seaton Young, and I suspect both of those names will not be familiar to you, plays Professor Henry Higgins.
Okay.
Molly Lynch is a genius of her generation. She played in Nikolai Foster's Sunset Boulevard a few years ago. She was Betty Schaefer. I don't know if you know that character in the Sunset Boulevard story. The real.
I thought that was a cake mix.
So the real love interest counterplaying against Norma Desmond's lunacy. And she was terrific in that, and her time to step up and be a leading lady has now come. She absolutely nails the complexities of Eliza, taking her from this Cockney flower girl in Covent Garden through to the transformation. Let's be honest, all My Fair Ladies do that and show how the young actress evolves from flower girl to faux aristocrat. But Molly Lynch brings there's a real perception. There's the way she acts throughout her presence on stage is on form throughout. Even when she's not speaking or singing, you're feeling her emotions powerfully, particularly after the scene at the embassy ball where Henry Higgins and Colonel Pickering are absolutely celebrating the fact that they've passed off this girl as a princess, as an aristocrat, and they're slapping themselves on the back and congratulating themselves, and of course completely ignoring her as a young woman.
It's a very touching moment.
And those two have all the dialogue. She has all the silence of that scene, and Molly Lynch almost acts them both off the stage without even saying a word.
By doing nothing, and yet doing everything.
Well, by doing silently. She's not doing nothing. She's doing
no. But you know what I mean.
Yeah,
they would say
no
that.
dialogue.
I know this is not a comparison, but bear with for a second.
Yep.
Steve McQueen, you could not take your eyes off him. And there's many films, including The Magnificent Seven, where he has got no dialogue. And like it's Yul Brynner and somebody else. And yet your focus goes to Steve McQueen. Why? Because he's that kind of actor. And it's an amazing thing. My very brief flirtation with theatre. It's like you could see the people who were off. If they didn't have a line, they'd be like, like that. And the other people, as you beautifully put it, they're present, they're there, they never switch off just because they don't have a line. And they radiate this magic, which few people can do. Well done, her. How was my pal Steve First?
Steve First rocks up. It's probably the best way to describe his entrance. Steve First rocks up as Alfred P. Doolittle, father of Eliza. Aaron, I think he's a dustman, isn't he, by trade? Alfred Doolittle. An absolute Cockney chauvinist, chancer, monstrosity of a person. And Steve First knocks it out of the park.
He is a monster talent. I have
Yeah.
been. I never thought I'd meet him, and I was a huge Steve First fan. I've been perfectly honest about it for years, and then we got to sort of know each other and met on various things. And he's like the most modest guy. The thing that blew me away with him, and if he ever does it again, you and I will go. He did a one-man show, and he played all these different characters, which is normally I'm like bored, stupid, and this was, oh my god. Oh my god, I can remember it to this day. It was just incredible. So I'm so thrilled he's doing that, because he had a brilliant run as Fagin in Oliver as well.
Yep.
Which I think you like, from memory serves.
No, I didn't see
You didn't
his
see that
Oliver.
one? But
No,
I
no,
know the
didn't see that
reviews
one.
were a sensation. The reviews were a sensation.
Of course, the biggest dance route, well, the biggest staged dramatic dance routine, because the Embassy Ball is gorgeous, is what Goodwin, the show's choreographer, has put together with Get Me to the Church on Time, which is his biggest number. And of course, this whole wonderful story, the subplot that goes throughout the show, that runs through the show, the fact that he then becomes this millionaire. Well, no, not a millionaire. He inherits. He becomes entitled to a fortune as a result of Henry Higgins recommending him to some American millionaire philanthropist.
Oh, I'd forgotten that bit. I don't remember that
Yes.
bit at
So all of a
all.
sudden he finds himself in the money, and his longtime partner drags him up the aisle. And you know, the humor of Get Me to the Church on Time, or sometimes also incorrectly called I'm Getting Married in the Morning.
Morning.
Ding
Let
dong.
me ask you a question. I'm going to ask
Go
you a
on.
direct question. You're a professional theatre critic, all right? Would you say that of all the musicals, possibly My Fair Lady is the most perfect in construction?
I would say it's up there with them. When I say it's the most perfect, that's a tough one to call, but it's beautifully constructed. And when you look at what Alan J. Lerner and Frederick Lowe, how
Oh,
they crafted the story. I
yeah.
mean, it took me a few times seeing it. When I saw it for the second or third time in my life, and Eliza sings "I Could Have Danced All Night," and she sings that after they've done the Rain in Spain routine, celebrating the fact that she's
Oh,
mastered her
yeah.
elocution.
Yeah.
And I seem to think that the song came after the Embassy Ball, where she'd been dancing and dancing all night. And of course, I was wrong. It comes after the Rain in Spain moment.
Yeah.
And what really comes across in this production is how much that song is a celebration of her having mastered these elocutionary challenges that were being placed upon her by Higgins and by Pickering. And really, Molly Lynch just gives that song a life that I have never seen before.
Wow.
It was
Because it's
moving.
very hard. You come with expectations. You come with memories of other performances, and so whoever does it, they've got to step on. There's the filling.
I mean, interestingly, I came to this one with high expectations because I know what Nikolai Foster is capable of, and I know what Molly Lynch is capable of. David Seaton Young, who plays Henry Higgins, also equally stunning, but I had no expectations really as regards his talents. But the show more than met; it exceeded my expectations. If you have the chance,
so it's in Leicester. What theatre in Leicester?
It's in Leicester, the Curve, which is Leicester's main principal theatre, a massive modern building, very beautifully designed. If you get the chance, you've got the time to jump in your car from whatever part of the country. Leicester's pretty central. It's well worth seeing. It's only on until the 4th of January. I mean, interestingly, going back to Devil Wears Prada, that is booking until October. So that is quite a bold.
Optimistic.
That's a bold statement.
That's
that
a bit optimistic.
Have made. Well, it's but I think that bears out your coach party predictions.
Well, maybe. I hope so, because these things, what people don't seem to understand, your starting price for a musical in the West End, your starting price is about 5 million.
Yeah,
that's just starting entry level without aircon, sat nav, and radar. That's it, and no leather interior. So you understand how much. The only reason I say that, you understand how much they have to recoup
Yep.
before they can even buy a sandwich. So it's
Indeed.
a big risk, big
Indeed.
risk. Anyway,
But
that's
both
it.
very different, both very gorgeous. One brand new, one a fantastic classic, and both examples of this country's musical theatre talent really on fine display.
Do you know what's lovely though? It's lovely that there's a name I've never. I mean, Janie D, who was your guest, very famous, etc. And I thought I'd just let you chat, the two of you. That's why I ducked out. No other reason. But it's beautiful when somebody that you've never heard of and gets a rave review, because you tell it like it is. If they're no good, you say wasn't for me, or it was subpar, or whatever it is. You're never rude. You're constructive, and that's what a critic should be, not just sitting there. I hate it when a critic just, it's all about me. Aren't I clever? I'm going to slag something off with you know, you're destroying months and months of hard work. That's
Indeed.
pretty rude.
Indeed.
Anyway, Jonathan Baz, you living legend, you. We will see you in two weeks' time, all being well.
Yep. I will now set about finishing my pie.
Mince pies.
Indeed.
Theatre critic and cook extraordinaire. Until
And
next
I'll see you
time.
in 2 weeks.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Jonathan Baz. Let's just change this. I'm changing that. And I'm putting this up. I wonder who could be coming up. I'm watching him stuffing his face now with mince pie. Unbelievable. He's not asking there. We've got face. He looks like a chipmunk, for Christ's sake. He's got his cheeks out here full of his mince pie. I'm like, anyway, you know her, you love her. I hate to say, probably the high point of the week. I know. She's in some glamorous background. I don't know where the hell she is. I think she's in Dubai or Skegness, somewhere between the two. Chantal Rickards OBE.
Morning.
Hello.
Hello.
You're in a lift. You look like you're in a lift.
No, I'm in a cupboard.
You're in a cupboard. Where the hell are you?
I'm in one of these sort of weird working spaces where there are lots of little individual, little sort of cupboard things for people to go and hide in and do their secret. Are
you in Tesco's?
No, not in Tesco's. I'm in the West End of London, which is crazy. I mean, unless you're actually desperate to come to the West End, just avoid it like the plague. It's absolute madness.
The trains are insane.
Yeah.
The trains are mental at the moment. Horrible.
Yeah. I can't walk on the pavements any longer in Oxford Street. I've now taken to walking along the little central reservation bit where all the lampposts are, because it's actually faster walking down the central reservation. Just absolutely.
What are they buying? Where are they going? Before we get on to telly and movies, where are they? Where are all these punters going, for God's sake? Where are they
shopping?
Going? No, I know that, but what is so exciting that you've got to dash into the West End? My idea.
Well, the lights are nice, actually.
Yeah, the lights are there. Lights are nice.
Yeah, and the shops are very nicely decorated, and you know there are.
I tell you what looks magnificent this year.
Yeah,
Fortnum and Mason's from the opposite side of the street. Oh my God!
Always worth going to Fortnum's. Always. Oh yes.
It's actually at night. Downship. It's actually at night to see Fortnum and Mason's. They've done it. Whoever designed it, you're a genius. Whoever you might be. It's absolutely beautiful.
Yeah, they will plan that probably a year out. I certainly know at Disney that the day that they bring down all the stuff at Disneyland, that is Christmas in effect, they literally start the preparation for Christmas the following year that day. It's phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal.
I always that reminds me of the story. Don't stop me if you've heard this. When I used to do panto, you used to have to buy Christmas cards for it. It's a pain in the ass. And the lighting people, the wardrobe, the sound, the cast, all the little juves, the juveniles, and so you've got this pile. And I was in the queues. I always left it late. And I turned to the woman behind me and I said, "Oh, not just me then." She said, "No, I'm buying these for next year." We haven't even had Christmas yet. I thought, what the hell?
Oh my goodness.
Oh, look at this. This is for you, Chantas. Lovely to see you, Chantal, watching from Australia.
Wow, Sydney. It's my friend Michelle in Sydney.
Ah, Michel, ma belle, sont les mots qui vont très bien ensemble.
Michelle used to be the nanny for my children.
Blimey.
Blimey,
And
exactly.
it was so utterly horrendous. She's had to escape to the furthest place she could think of, Australia, to get away.
She was, in her time when she was in London, she was the top maternity nurse in London.
Wow.
And I was very lucky to have her for a few weeks around the time of the birth of my 2 boys. So she was the person who kept
I don't
me
want to
safe.
play. Look, Chantal, you're an attractive woman in your own special way, but I don't want to play top trumps with nannies. I don't want to.
Oh, did you have a better nanny than Michelle?
Well, I haven't met Michelle, but I will go there. When my daughter, who is now very, very, very grown up, was a little tiny bubba, we had this nanny, and she said, "I'm afraid I have to leave." And she left a little house in North London to Princess Anne. Went off to Gatcombe Park.
Wow.
Hilarious. Hilarious. And I once met, what's the name of the son? He went into motor racing. Princess Anne's
Peter
son.
Phillips. Peter
Sorry?
Phillips?
Peter Phillips. Peter Phillips. And I was in the pits at some Formula One race. I don't know what the hell I was doing. Anyway, I was in the pit lane. And I just left.
I think he's still involved in Formula One, actually.
And I went up to Peter Phillips and I was introduced. I said, "Peter, we have a..." Oh, Peter. I said, "We have something." And I mentioned the nanny's name. And, oh my God, we had this whole conversation in the pit lane of some Formula One race where you're supposed to be discussing tyre pressures and, you know, stuff about a nanny. There we go.
Yes, well, similarly, the nannies all have their own stories. I mean, when Michelle was working, she used to work soon after she left me, I think, for the first time. She went off to work for one of the world's most famous movie stars, and I can't tell you who it was because she'd never speak to me again. But it was sort of interesting, the stories that she used to tell. Anyway, there we are. She's probably telling other people's stories about me, but I hope she's changed my...
She's been in touch. I'm reading the messages now. Shocking. Shocking. You and Greg Wallace, who would have thought?
Oh,
anyway.
Now, stop it. You're being a tease now. I think I gave Greg Wallace his first television program.
God, I knew there was someone to blame. I had a horrible feeling it was going to be you.
Well, I think I commissioned him along with his fellow veg man, because what you may or may not remember, unless you listen to Radio 4 at 5:30 in the morning, there used to be a program from Covent Garden. For those that don't know, Covent Garden is where they used to sell all the fruit and veg, or still New Covent Garden, they sell it still, but the old Covent Garden, they sell all the fruit and veg to London. And he used to do a program on the radio at 5:30 in the morning that was about the prices of vegetables as they were coming into the market that day. And that was how he started out, as a fruiterer, or a, you know, the owner of a vegetable
down the market,
business. Exactly, down there. He was, And I'm almost sure that I gave him a television series called Follow That Tomato, I think, in about 2000.
Please tell me you're on drugs and you're making this. Please tell me you didn't come up with that.
That probably, we probably worked on that. I think we worked on that after a rather long lunch hour in the pub.
Was that with Monkey Tennis? That's another one. This is like a conversation with. This is like a conversation with Alan Partridge. Aha!
No, television used to be really good fun. I think it's all good to be serious now.
Follow that tomato. Right.
It was a good idea.
I'm not going to put you on the spot, but here's the thing. What has happened? Let's not get into the whats and whys and wherefores, but his career now, it's done. It must be television. I don't think he can recover.
I think so. Yeah. He hasn't handled it well, and inevitably one has to take a... When stuff like this happens, I go straight back to all those things that I learned when I was a PR girl in film and television in the 1980s. And we used to say to our clients, if in doubt, say nout. Which, who don't speak Yorkshire, means say nothing. And
do you know how he doubled?
Then you're
there's a thing. It's called being tone deaf. And being tone deaf means you don't read the room at all. And you think, oh, I could deal with this. You really can't. And, you know, PR 101 is you go straight to the experts and go, I'm in a mess. Dig me out of this. What you don't do is try and do it yourself. Not only did he double down and make it a total disaster, he's wearing a T-shirt, it's POTS, and it's like, I'm horny.
No.
What? Oh, yes. Yes. When he did the thing about, you know, middle-aged, you know, women in class of a certain age, you know, just a cluster, you know what I was about to say, of a mess. I mean, you know, if I had to write as a writer, Russ, come up with the worst speech you could come up with. There you go. That'll kill your career in 30 seconds. Thanks, Russ. And just...
Well, there we are.
But I would imagine...
Just take a...
I would imagine... And that's the only thing I'm going to say on it, all right? With everything that's going on in the world, it's not... It's rubbish. It's not good. But, you know, you look at Syria, you look at the French government coming down, you look at giving Sadiq Khan a knighthood, you look at knife crime, you look at all the major things, you look at being lied to every single day like the morons. It's not the lead story. Let's get that, you know, let's get that. But it is unacceptable. But there you go.
Yeah. In his defense,
here we go.
Just for a scintilla of a moment, I will say that he was employed partly because he was the cheeky
Precisely. Of course.
That's why people like him or liked him. Now, I think where he's gone wrong is he hasn't kept up with modern terminology. He hasn't kept up with how things have changed, that actually sexism towards women is not a good thing these days. We know it's not a good thing. We've been through that. We've come out on the other side, but he wasn't listening. And you're right, he's tone deaf. And actually, if he hadn't been so tone deaf, he would have realised that his cheapy, chappy shtick was no longer appropriate.
You know, somebody but, like...
You know, that's a little bit of defence.
If you take somebody like Jonathan Ross, who I can't bear, but it's not the point. You know, he's had a huge career for many, many decades. And there was a time when he was a much younger guy, he'd be kind of leering over the sexy Hollywood actress there, and it was okay. But even Jonathan Ross has realised he's of a certain, I don't know, was he late 50s now? I don't know what he is.
He's 61, I think.
I think probably like early 60s, probably must be. You can't do that. It goes from two young people having a sort of flirtatious, that's quite fun, to I'm going to vomit. Stop it. It's creepy. Yeah. And he gets it. You know, you read the room. If you want a proper long career, you read the room.
I know. I mean, and you wouldn't get away these days with, you know, In Bed with Paula Yates, which a lot of viewers and listeners will remember.
After the fact she's dead, so it wouldn't be much of a show. Let's not kid us.
But indeed, it's the
you can't do those. You can't do
actually. You just wouldn't be allowed to be sort of overtly.
No, I mean...
Anyway, there we are. But I don't think we're going to be seeing him on television again soon.
But do you know what I think will happen? I'll tell you what I think will actually happen. If he was smart, he would double down, start his own... I read this, and I thought, you know, that's right. I wish I don't lie, so I wish I hadn't thought of it myself, but I read it by somebody. Start his own YouTube channel, where he can do what the hell he likes, be as hilarious as he likes, and he would, I'm not saying it's right, Chantal, you know me better than that, but he would have an audience who go, yeah, it's banter. Well, it's not banter, but they would think it's banter, you know? Anyway, there we are. What have you found? Now listen, thanks to you, Graham Pack, I watched all episodes of Only Child and the first 2 episodes of Matlock that Chantal recommended.
Oh, I'm very pleased. Well, I hope he enjoyed them too. I think he did. So I hope he did. They're both great. I mean, if you want some nice, easy watching, both Matlock and Only Child are terrific.
How are you getting on with the Lost in Paradise Australian version, especially for Michelle?
Oh, I've done 3 episodes, I think, and actually she grows on me as a character. We talked about it 2 or 3 weeks ago.
Yeah, she's pretty unlikable, isn't she? Really,
She
as
gets
a character.
better.
Oh, thank God.
I'm warming to.
Ooh,
Yeah.
are you? I keep hoping like a great white shark's going to come up Paradise Cove and just be the end of her.
No, she's a bit idiosyncratic, but I quite like her.
It's very clever. Can I just ask you a question? Here's your pal. Here's Michelle back again. I love Matlock up to episode 6 in Oz. Okay. It's very clever that they've got the you've got the beautiful scenery which you have in the original one, St Honore, and then you've got Cornwall, Devon, wherever it is with the Chris Marshall.
Yeah.
And here on this one, lovely scenery, beautiful weather, and you think, I don't really care about the plot. It just looks lovely, and it's miserable in London. It's very clever. Very clever.
Well, it's a very good advert for, you know, beachside living in Australia, because it does look beautiful.
Oh, it looks heavenly, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Absolutely heavenly. Mm-hmm.
Anyway.
Anywho.
Good. Well,
can you talk about the Brutalist? Yes. Are you allowed to talk about the Brutalist yet or not?
I don't know. I can't remember. Has it come out yet? Hang on, I better look it up.
No, it hasn't come out yet. But I never like to compromise you. You know, I know you have very strict rules. So Chantal can't. I think she's not allowed to talk about it.
I've seen so much in the last few weeks. I mean, I saw something extraordinary 2 or 3 days ago, and I thought, damn, I can't talk about this till January.
Tell us about that. Don't worry about the Brutalist. It's
no, I'm just going to check the release date of the Brutalist and see whether it is actually. No, it's not released.
3¼ hours.
24th of January. So we'll have to wait a bit. Let's talk about it when it comes out.
Okay.
So, but I'm going to talk about something that came out yesterday, so we can definitely talk about that. It's on every bus side in London, and if you have missed those bus sides, then you must be walking around in your sleep. Is all I can say.
Living on bus sides.
Netflix have literally plastered posters on everything that moves in London and stuff that doesn't too, for something called Black Doves. Have you seen them?
I've seen the advertising. Yeah, I don't know what it is.
This is it's a spy thriller. It features Keira Knightley, Sarah Lancashire, and Ben Whishaw. And I
love him. He's fantastic.
I should just stop there, because with a cast like that, you just think, okay, well,
that's good enough. We're done now. That's enough.
I'm definitely going to watch this. And actually, you should watch it. If I was going to sort of say, think of slow horses, and then I thought, no, don't even mention slow horses, because in a way, it's the exact opposite. This is
fast horses.
Yeah, rich and glossy. Yes, it's about espionage, and yes, London is featured, but actually that's where they become completely different. Other than what you don't quite expect, and when it arrives in the middle of the first episode, you think, oh, hang on, I wasn't really expecting that, because there's a vein of deep, sort of dark comedy that runs all the way through it. And actually, there are some laugh out loud moments, and you think, oh, actually, this is sort of schlocky television. This is quite sort of bubblegum TV, and it's a bit funny, and it's a bit larky, and it's not really a serious spy thriller. So it starts out being quite serious. The basic premise of the show is that Keira Knightley is a spy. Not necessarily a government spy. I don't want to spoil this, but she might be a spy for other forces, let's put it that way. And she has been a sleeper to the extent that she is now, having been put in a position whereby she could become interesting further down the line, she is married to the Minister of Defence of the British government. So clearly, she's on the inside, she's getting lots of information. It turns out that Ben Whishaw used to be one of her colleagues, and Ben Whishaw is a hired assassin. So
he's him. He's him. He can't be.
I think
he's waiting for Godot.
Yeah, I'm not sure they're written as goodies, but actually they're definitely written as people you are on the side of, even if ultimately they're probably not fighting for the right side. And of course, who's the boss? Sarah Lancashire, at her coldest, iciest ice mate.
Is she northern again, or is she London again?
No, she's not northern. She's left the northern accent behind. And she's rather sort of clipped and a little bit London. So no, she doesn't play the sort of, you know, the northern roles that she's known for more. But she is absolutely brilliant. Honestly, she could literally freeze you at 100 paces.
The Anna Wintour of Netflix. Do you know,
Yeah.
I'm so thick. I am so thick. I assumed that everything I've ever seen her in, Sarah Lancashire, was from up north. But then there was some show and she won an award, and this voice came out. I went, "What the bloody hell's that?" I didn't realize it was Sarah Lancashire. Can I just answer something from Mark Elvis Hampson? I'm not putting your comment up, and the answer is no, and she will never, ever appear on any radio station that I run. Thank you. Moving on.
Okay. Moving on. Okay, so I have come very late to the party to something called Motherland, but I thought I would share it with you. And actually with my lovely old maternity nurse, Michelle, watching, I hope she's seen this in Australia too, because she will know when she's been with so many new mothers and she knows the crises that they go through when their children are born. This is a series that started in 2017 on the BBC. It only did 3 series of 6 episodes. And I was round with a girlfriend last weekend and she said, "Oh, let's watch an episode of Motherland." And I said, "What on earth is Motherland?"
Yes.
And she said, "Oh my God, how could you not know what it is?" And of course, I should have known what it was.
I've
I
never heard of
absolutely
it.
should have.
Never heard of
It's brilliantly well written. It's
Okay.
written by Sharon Horgan, who I completely love anyway. And it's features Anna Maxwell Martin as
Oh, we
the
love
lead.
her.
I
We
know.
love her.
And actually, it's really laugh out loud funny, but it's also, it makes you, most especially if you are a mother, and secondly, I suppose, if you are a father, it makes you feel deeply uncomfortable about your parenting skills. And I can remember feeling hopeless at absolutely everything when my kids were born. And that juggling, you know, that constant juggling.
Thank God for Michelle Vaughan.
Thank God. I mean, I was only able to cope because I had help at home. And if you didn't have a good support network at home, then the whole thing came crashing down. But actually, this is about Anna Maxwell Martin, the lead character, who is desperately struggling to have a role, to have a working life in PR in London, but just can't get it together. She's utterly chaotic. Her children are pretty chaotic. Her husband barely comes home. He just sort of appears at the end of a telephone occasionally. And then there's a whole group of sort of the nasty, bitchy women at school. And of course, Anna Maxwell Martin is outside the sort of the cool kids.
The clique, the little clique. Oh God,
Yeah.
those school runs. Jesus.
I mean, honestly, they used to terrify me, the other mothers.
You're bringing back horrible memories.
I know.
There
Well,
was
actually, they were
absolute
horrible
chaos.
memories for me. I can remember going to dinner parties at the time thinking I was surrounded by other women who weren't working. And I was just thinking, these women are really looking down on me because I have decided to go back to work. But similarly, you know, 20, 30 years later, they were saying to me, "God, you made us feel so inadequate because we stayed at home and you went out and had a career." But this sitcom captures it so beautifully that actually it's a complete treat and you should watch it. Just sit down, you know, cup of tea, mince pie, and it's on the BBC and it's called Motherland.
Isn't it fascinating? I'm going to digress for a second. How we as people interpret other people's actions as one thing. And it's only when you speak to them, and I will tell you why, but I'll tell you off it. I'm not going to tell you why now, because it doesn't matter. I don't want to go into it. But you realize you've misunderstood how they felt about you, where you thought they were down on you. In fact, they were going, "We feel inadequate. Look at this woman. She's like doing everything and juggling, you know, keeping all the plates spinning on all the sticks." And it's really interesting how you beat yourself. I don't mean you, one, and I'm the worst. Beat yourself up, where if you actually spoke to them, but you can't at the time. It's part of human nature, isn't it? It's fascinating.
It is. I mean, there are moments that made me feel really uncomfortable and really took me back to that moment. Those sort of, you know, occasional bleak moments where you think, I just can't cope with all of this. I can't cope with motherhood. I can't cope with a career. It's just all too much. But it's so beautifully written. But it's funny. It's funny. You have to laugh because it's just ridiculous. And here
good
am I.
point coming in from Graham. So these days, with the cost of rent, mortgages, etc., just going shopping.
Yeah.
How many times do you go shopping and you get like an everyday, like a piece of cheese, and you think, I don't think so. The number of times stuff goes back on the shelf, you think, this is nuts, I can't do this. So both parents do. You need dual incomes to just keep afloat.
Yeah.
Very hard. Very hard.
It's hard. I don't have any answers other than if you
There's
can
none.
afford it, get help.
There's none. The answer is Michelle Vaughan, who's now
The answer is Michelle Vaughan. Exactly.
The answer to everything is Michelle Vaughan. That's my new
Be her
go-to.
agent.
From now on, when I'm asked any difficult question, I go, I don't know, but I'll ask Michelle Vaughan, who I never met. And this will be my go-to position. Should I have a starter or not? I'll phone Michelle Vaughan. I do.
Right, good. She's a wise woman.
She's wise. She's living in Sydney, so she's certainly not daft. That's for sure.
Anyway, I'm going to take you to Canada now. Is that all right?
Okay. Yes, please.
Good.
I'm ready.
Yes. Well, I have mentioned it before, but not for ages and ages and ages. But often we will talk about Scandi noir or, sort of Nordic noir or whatever it may be. And then there's been a thing of Canadian noir detective series.
Is this a detective show you're about to talk about?
Yes.
I watched it last night. I can't remember the name of it. I fell asleep.
Cardinal.
Yes, I watched it last night by pure chance.
Well, I mentioned it when it appeared either on Channel 4 or on the BBC quite some time ago, but it's now been, all 4 series have been picked up by You.
Yes, it's on You,
which
I
is
love.
Exactly. So it's on You. All 4 series are there. It's about a Canadian detective in Ontario. So they keep talking about OPD, the Ontario Police Department.
Oh, that's what it is.
Yes.
Well,
it looks very bleak. It's always
bleak.
very
Holy God.
lots of snow.
It takes this show. It takes bleak to a whole new level.
Exactly. But it's good. He's a fantastic lead character. He plays a guy called John Cardinal. There's a backstory. I would literally start at series 1. You can dip into it later if you want, but it makes more sense if you go from the beginning, just because of his own personal backstory and the story of his wife. But there are individual stories as they go along, and I think it's very well played. He's an incredibly good actor. Somebody called Billy Campbell. And I'm very pleased that all 4 series have now been picked up by You. So it's all there as a perfect package for everybody to watch who wants some very good stories. The stories are well done, and it's nicely plotted, well acted.
And it looks like a movie. I love things where you're taken out of yourself and you're not in London or somewhere that's familiar and I don't know, Canadian countryside from a hole in the wall, and it just looks this vastness of nothing. It's just wow.
You just have to strap on your crampons and just imagine that you are there. It's a pretty bleak view, but great stories. So enjoy. There are 6.
There was one amazing shot. It doesn't spoil anything, and they've found someone who's deceased.
Yes.
And they bring. I'm not saying anything more. They bring. I only found it by literally just skimming channels, and they bring this out in a block of ice. It was a shot that I'd never seen conceived before. Because it's so freezing cold, and they bring out the body in this on a sort of crane in this great big block of ice. It was an extraordinary shot.
Right. Extraordinary. And they probably constructed that actually to create that imagery, I would think.
Yeah, I would imagine so. But you get a wonderful sense of emptiness and of space and of loneliness, and wow, it's
good. Yeah. Well, I'm glad you're enjoying it.
Bravo you.
Yes,
bravo you for recommending it. I'd forgotten.
Yeah.
I got ahead like I said. Anything quick that you'd like to bring to our
Yes, well, quick. We'll go to down under, not to Australia, but we'll go to New Zealand for Channel 4's big new series that they have bought from TV New Zealand called After the Party.
Oh, yes.
Now, this is not a laugh a minute. It is unbelievably well acted by an actress called Robin Malcolm, who I didn't know. She plays a slightly disgruntled teacher. Something has happened between her and her ex-husband 5 years earlier. She has accused him of a crime that she thinks has happened, and the husband comes back 5 years later, back to the town where she is still living. Her daughter is there. She has a granddaughter. She is so authentic. She's unbelievably angry with life and how
I like her.
But she's a really likable character, and you really want her to come out of it shining. But you see the whole story played out, but from different angles and different people, all looking back at this supposed crime that happened 5 years earlier. So the story unfolds in each episode by looking at it from a different character, and it's very
you're seeing, if I'm understanding correctly, you're seeing this story, but from the perspective of the main protagonists.
Yes,
which
each
gives you a
different
different
protagonist.
interpretation. That's clever.
Yeah.
I like that.
You see the lives unraveling in front of your eyes, but it's very well done. I mean, the actress, I really don't know her work, but my God, she's good. It's a really, really powerful performance. Unbelievable, strangely, really believable. It's not overplayed. She's not a cartoon character. She's just a tough, gritty woman. And I've really enjoyed the first 2 episodes, so I'm definitely going to stick with that. That's on Channel 4.
Well, I'm going to end with one thing. I've mentioned it before.
Okay.
It was recommended to me. I have now binge watched all 3 series and absolutely adored them. The Lincoln Lawyer. Wow.
Oh, good.
Oh my God.
Excellent.
It just, if you like great characters, terrific stories, you don't know which way it's going. Just excellent.
No, it's good.
Lawyer. It's on Netflix. They've got all 3 series. Start at series 1 though, because it won't make sense otherwise. Chantal Rickards, please, I hope they let you out of that cupboard. You know, I hope eventually.
I'm going to break out right now. I'm off to a Christmas lunch.
Bless you. I wonder why you look extra sprawcy. Thank you so much, Chantal. Have a wonderful Christmas lunch. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. The fantastic and wonderful Chantal Rickards, who's broadcasting live from a laundry cupboard somewhere in a media HQ. That's all we know. I have no idea where she is. It'll be somewhere very fancy pants. I don't know where she's going. She's only going to Nando's. Nando's, telling you now. That's it for another week. We've had a heck of a week. We've had Janie D on just now. We have the fabulous Toya Wilcox earlier in the week. When did Toya rock up? On Wednesday. I'll be back with Neil Longilong on Monday. Have a lovely weekend if you can. The sun is shining at the moment. Bound to be horrible later. And as I always say, try and stay out of trouble. Until then, goodbye.